What's up, guys? My name is Brandon Baldwin, and I'm with GizmoSlip.com, and today we'll be taking a look at the PS Vita. So the first thing you'll notice about it is it's got a big 5-inch screen. It's got a resolution of 960 by 544. It's a pretty nice screen. I'm going to go and turn it on. But as you look around the front, you can see that it's got directional pads right here, along with 2 analog sticks, which makes first-person shooters possible, potentially anyway. We'll get to that about talking about the controls and everything a little bit later. But it's also got the regular, circle, square, X, triangle buttons right here. And along the top, you've got a shoulder button on the left, shoulder button on the right, and volume rocker, or not a rocker, 2 volume buttons right here. It's got a power button right here. It's got a place to put the SD card for the game right here along the top. And then along the bottom here, you've got the place for the memory stick right there, which you can get up to, I believe, 32 gigs. Maybe bigger in the future anyway. Memory sticks, though, can go upwards from $20 all the way up to $100, depending on your size and how much space you want. But the great thing about the memory sticks is that I believe you can store the games on here so that you can just play it right off of the device. And then you've got a power port, in port right there, and then a headphone port right along the bottom. And then also on the front you've got the main power button and the select, pause buttons right there, select and start buttons, as well as a front-facing camera and a rear-facing camera right there. Another important thing to note is that it does have a touch screen on the back. You've got the ability to interact with games. For example, when you're doing something else, if you swipe on the back, it performs an action. Or when you're climbing a rope, you can wipe your fingers down like this, as if you're climbing the rope. And it kind of just adds another interactive feature to playing the PS Vita, which is pretty cool. Playing a PS Vita is kind of unlike playing anything else out there currently, because there's nothing that has the same level of interaction with your fingers as you play along. Just taking a look at the UI now, you can see that it's got basically just a screen filled with apps for the main UI, and then you can load different programs, and the different programs stay up as kind of these big windows, and if you want to load into that window, you can switch. So I'm going to switch back into Uncharted Golden Abyss, which is a pretty good game. We enjoyed playing through a lot of it. I played for about 6 or 7 hours, and it was fun. One thing I would say about the PS Vita is that the quality of games are going to be a lot higher. For example, you're paying $50 for a game, but the level of cinematics, the storytelling, the sound quality production, the length of the game, all of those things are going to be much, much greater than an iPhone or Android just $5 game. So if you're considering, well, why would I buy a PS Vita if I have an iPhone 4S, or why would I buy a PS Vita if I've got a Galaxy S2 or something like that, the most important thing to consider is that you've got better controls, and then you've also got the length of the games, the depth of the games, the breadth of the games. All of those things just come around to a completely different experience than what a cell phone can give you. But the games on the Android or iPhone are going to have much more lackluster quality, cinematic storytelling, length, game controls. All of that makes a huge difference in your overall gaming experience. Now, one thing I did find about the PS Vita was that these analog sticks, while they're good that they're analog, they tend to be too narrow. Like, if you move them just a little bit, they jump on the screen. Now, when you're running around on the ground with your feet, it's not a big deal, but when you're trying to do precision aiming with the right one, it can be really just a big pain in the butt. So, honestly, the analog sticks were not as good as we thought. They're definitely better than most. Obviously, way better than any touchscreen on an Android or iPhone device or Apple device. But they're not going to be as good as an Xbox 360 controller or a PS3 controller. So something to keep in mind is that, yeah, they're both analog, but they're not as precise. Now, as far as actual graphics itself are concerned, it's got an A9 quad-core processor in it, as well as a dedicated GPU. So it seems like the ability of this device maybe hasn't been tapped out yet. Like, they might be able to come up with games, or I'm sure they will come up with games in the future that push the graphics on this device even further. But for example, the lower resolution screen on this compared to like a tablet or even like an iPhone 4S. Like the DPI, the dots per inch on the screen, just isn't as high, so you're not going to be able to get as smooth anti-A-list looking graphics just on this device, because it's going to be just more pixelated. The PS Vita retails for about $250, but the memory stick, as well as buying at least one game, will bump the price up to about $320. Now, it also includes a GPS and possibly 3G, but the 3G one, I believe, costs an additional $50. So something to keep in mind when you're looking to buy it is, do you want 3G? You'll have to pay for a separate plan from AT&T, and that's going to be on a month-by-month, pay-per-month kind of basis, and that can get expensive. So I decided that if I ever got one of these, I would just use Wi-Fi and then tether with my cell phone, which I'm willing to pay the extra per month because I can also tether with my laptop and other stuff like that. So I think that's a good alternative to the 3G version. The battery life you're looking at on this device is going to be around 6 to 8 hours. Depending on what you use, the brightness level and all of that stuff, I found that it was probably about 6 hours most of the time I was using it, but I can understand if you turn the brightness down and disabled Wi-Fi when you're actually playing a game that you could get actually 8 hours. Something else to think about is the web browsing experience was good, but it was a little bit delayed on the touchscreen. For example, you scroll down and it takes about a second or more for it to actually load the text that you scroll down to. It's kind of blank white, and so it takes a little while when you're scrolling through things to load, which is kind of annoying because it's got like a better processor than the iPad 2, and it seems like it should be able to load more quickly than that, but the browser probably just needs to be optimized. Maybe there will be additional browsing options, or this browser will be updated to be a little bit faster in the near future, but currently it's not that. It can store your pictures, your videos, a lot of different things. You can watch Netflix off it, and I did test that, and it worked exceptionally well, actually. It was a very smooth experience using the Netflix on the PS Vita. So if you're in the market for a tablet device, like I would say that this should not replace your cell phone, but if you're in the market for a tablet device, you've already got a cell phone. It doesn't even have to be a fancy cell phone. Maybe what you got is a cheaper cell phone, but you want to have the gaming experience that an iPhone has, but a better one. That might be a good alternative to buying, to actually buying a PS Vita instead of an iPhone 4S or an Android smartphone. Or if you're looking to actually get a tablet and you want just a tablet that games better than a typical Android tablet that has better quality games. And that's the main thing. You're going to have better quality games and you have a better quality gaming experience. Not necessarily better graphics. The graphics are actually probably about the same level. But the actual experience of the gaming is going to be just better because it's going to have analog sticks, actually tactile buttons, shoulder buttons for aiming, shooting, throwing grenades, and then the back, obviously, you'll also have more interactable features using the back. So if you're in the market for a gaming tablet, this is what we would recommend for you gamers out there. If you're in the market just for a fun browsing experience / reading ebooks, stuff like that, this is definitely not your tablet to get. And if you're not going to actually use it for gaming, like you're going to actually just web browse on it and like watch Netflix on it, this is, again, not your ideal tablet because the web browsing experience just isn't as good as the other tablets. And so that's something else to keep in mind. Overall, we did like the PS Vita for what it is. It's not something that can replace, like an Asus Transformer Prime. This doesn't have a keyboard dock. It doesn't have as long a battery life. It's not as big a screen. But it does game better than the Asus Transformer Prime. Thanks for watching. Check out the PS Vita unboxing. Check out the PS Vita drop test, iPhone 4S drop test, and the iPad 2 drop test. And come back and check us out again. Subscribe, like us on Facebook, and all that stuff. Thanks for watching. My name's Brandon Baldwin. And we'll catch you next time.
Gizmo Slip.